By the youth. We're now joined by activist and president of the Soweto Parliament, Nhlanhla Lux, for a little bit more. Nhlanhla, thanks for joining us. Always good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Big pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. I get a sense, every election is always important, but I get a sense that, nearly 3 decades since democracy, the youth really have a vested interest in these local government elections. And I just wonder, are they interested? Do they realize just how important their vote is this time around?
Look, to be honest with you, I'll be straight to the point. The youth is very interested. However, the youth is not educated enough around voting and how the country is supposed to be ran. And why? Is because there is a deliberate, intentional system put in place to make sure that the youth doesn't have a platform to exercise leadership. And that's why you saw what Griselda covered there. The youth, when they're on their pastime, free time, they're smoking humbly, they're drinking, they're not productive. Why? Because there is no platform to exercise leadership. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you this for free. There are Indian communities with young, brilliant people who can take this country forward. But those young people don't have a platform to exercise leadership. Same applies for colored communities. Same applies for black communities. Same applies for white communities, Asian communities. Young people, regardless of color, we do not have a platform to express or exercise leadership. And that is frustrating. Old people are hogging positions of power, both in private sector and in government. It's time that we allow young people to take over certain positions of power so that we can be ready, so we can have the administrative experience of running this country come the time. Right now, we have old people making decisions of a future that they will not be a part of. That's how sad the reality of South Africa is.
All right. So what you're saying is you should have more councillors under the age of 35 than we've got at the moment, because that is essentially what we're talking about in these elections.
Certainly. And not just only councillors. I mean, we've got youth are capable. We just need a platform for expression, to express ourselves, to display some form of leadership. So we're saying that if we are serious about the future of South Africa, we'd ensure that young people are given these positions of power. How's about we set a quota, an age quota on who can be a councillor and cap it at 35 and see if we can have big progress on the ground. I can bet my life on it. We'll have big progress on the ground. We have councillors that are not been on Facebook when the entire community is on Facebook. Why? Because they're too old. So how's about we give the young people of this time a chance to cultivate a future for themselves that they will be a part of. We'll be able to hold young people accountable in future for the decisions they take. But right now, the old people that are taking the decisions, they won't be there for us to hold them accountable. And that's why the country is going in the direction that it's going in.
So who do you think is at fault? Is it the political parties themselves? Because each of these parties has a youth wing, and a youth wing that can express the views that you are expressing now. Is it just that they're not being heard, not being taken seriously? What's going wrong?
The problem with political parties and having youth wings is that all the young people who are part of or under certain political parties, they lose their independent thinking. They start reasoning as per the political party's reasoning. So they start articulating issues and protecting the political party's nonsense. So it's important for us to continue to have platforms outside politics that can continue to be a platform for young people, regardless of color or where they come from, to exercise leadership and make sure that they're part and parcel of the process that takes the country forward. Let me remind everybody that's listening that we've got more people who actually exist outside politics than we do have people who exist within politics. So it's just a sad reality that we have this minority of people who actually prioritize and exist within politics controlling this large majority. If people outside politics can actually organize themselves, and especially young people, you will see that this country can actually do better in terms of progress. Political progress, social progress, economic progress.
So what are you waiting for, Nhlanhla? Because it sounds like you're waiting for permission.
No, we're not waiting for permission. What I can tell you for free is that this is not, one man can never ever change the world. No man is an island. So what we are currently doing is that we're waking up the young people, and we're hoping that platforms such as SABC, we can come across and we can reach more young people and say that it's a trap, that every corner there's a bottle store, there's a hub being smoking, but there is no access to real information, and there's no access for you to exercise leadership. So we need more young people to wake up, and then we lead this revolution. But it has begun. It has begun, and I'm telling you for free, it has begun. If all people don't give access to this economy, to young people, to politics, listen, if all people continue to hog South Africa, this country doesn't have a future, and we'll be forced to take back the future of this country as young people, and that will not be a very nice sight to go through. So we are pleading with every old person in a position of power, be it in business or in government, to open the door so that we can just walk in freely as young people of this country, and all races, not particular young. The solution for this country is young people uniting regardless of color and religion. And we will unite, and we will take this country, and we'll move forward and ensure that South Africa progresses the way it's supposed to progress, because there is no way that since 1994 we're in the same position. There is no way. And if young people are listening, I'm saying this is your time, this is our time, and we will take this country and take it forward with or without them.
All right. So you're saying that there's a raising of consciousness, that you're trying to get young people energized. So what is this platform going to look like? Is this going to be a youth movement that you're trying to establish? Will that then morph into a political party? What's your end game?
So the end game here, to be honest with you, is that we need to make sure that young people are in positions of power. And how we get there is something that we can't even just easily talk about on such platforms, because we know the world we live in, that people will come after us and say that you are trying to do this, trying to do that, when the reality is that we're just trying to save the future of the country and make sure that young people wake up. We actually have started a massive national structure where young people can have the platform to hold government accountable, and we're going to do that for a few years, and that will give young people the opportunity to learn and get experience of how the country is actually ran, and get administrative experience of running the country. Because from holding people accountable, that means you also have to understand what those people are doing so that you can be effective in holding them accountable. And this structure is actually called the Young People's Government of South Africa. It's a non-political structure. Certainly that's the most important thing to announce. It's a non-political structure, non-racial structure, and all the youth that is taking part in this will have a minister for minister, president for president, MEC for MEC, premier for premier, and will hold everybody accountable for service delivery in this country as young people, and we'll make sure that even in each level of government that we do prioritize the advancement of young people's agendas. And that's what we'll do, hoping that we'll get more young people being conscientized, being educated, being ready, so that a time comes when there's no change, even through our structures of accountability, then we'll have no choice but to also just step in as a whole into this political landscape.
All right, this sounds like a great idea, and I'm quite excited to hear you speak. However, it does sound like a project that's medium term, even to long term. The elections are 2 weeks away. What do the youth do today?
Yeah. So listen, as much as we are disgruntled as the youth, what's important is that we also need to display serious level of maturity. Look, when it must be understood that South Africa is a democratic country, and we must always protect the constitution of this country. It doesn't matter who you are and how disgruntled you are. So we're going to let these elections play through, and we must actually, as young people, ensure that we don't get used as tools for destruction. We must not disturb these elections. Let them go on, because it does not matter who wins these elections. We will have young people in each ward under our structures that hold the councillors accountable for service delivery. And once we head to national elections in 2 years' time, we'll make sure that we're building these structures and we're ready for whoever takes those elections, and make sure that we're holding absolutely everyone accountable. So this is not a long-term plan by any means. We actually are in motion. The revolution has started for young people to take this country.
So should young people participate in these coming elections?
I agree. Young people must participate in the elections, because our democracy, the constitution is important to be protected by absolutely everyone. There's individuals, there's organizations that are not representing the Constitution the way they're supposed to. Let's get mad at them, not the Constitution. And voting is a central part, is a heartbeat of our Constitution, because it gives the people an opportunity to direct the country constitutionally, democratically, to move forward. So we should never disturb that process, but we should all be ready. If you're a young person and you've registered to vote, I encourage you to go vote. But you vote with your mind, you don't vote with your heart or what you were told by your parents. You vote with the research. You make informed decisions. We don't just vote. You don't just do things as young people. That time is over. We must show discipline and we must show maturity, because our interest is the future of this country. And the young people who haven't registered to vote, is not all done. The opportunity for you to participate in the elections are not over. You can, on the day, make sure you go out to voting districts and ensure that you assist where you can. Make sure that the grannies that are coming, you pull chairs for them, give them water, take part, become an active citizen, and ensure that your true priority is the future of this country, and you're not interested and trapped in that small minority mental space of party politics and what politics. Make sure that voting happens so that we can have people to hold accountable, because we don't want a country that can't hold elections, simple elections. Our country must display that our democracy is in line, is in check, and the young people understand themselves, and those who are registered to vote will vote. Those who are not registered to vote will play their part as active citizens to ensure that they add value on the day.
Nhlanhla Lux, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best. May you remain energized. And I'm going to help you get people out of your way so that you guys can get your job done. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. That's the future of South Africa. And as he says, you know, young people just want an opportunity. And if we don't allow them to sit at the table, they're going to push that table away and take over with or without our cooperation.